The night the hospital alarms screamed for emergency blood, Daniel Malik didn't know that he was about to walk into the most painful, breathtaking circle of destiny he had ever experienced. He was just a tired single father, standing in a cold, fluorescent corridor with calloused hands and a heart worn thin by years of quiet struggle. But when the nurse rushed toward him, breathless, begging for a rare blood type to save the life of a critically ill little girl in the ICU, something inside Daniel moved before he could even think. He didn't know her name, didn't know her family, didn't know that her mother was the very person who once shattered him so thoroughly that he had never healed. All Daniel knew was that a child was dying, and he could not walk away. He followed the nurses with heavy steps, never imagining that in saving one life, he was about to confront the one person he promised himself he would never face again. If you believe in kindness, destiny, and second chances, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Grandma Dearie. Your support keeps these emotional stories alive. Daniel had always been the kind of man who put others first, even when life offered him very little in return. After his wife's death, he raised his daughter, Alina, alone in a tiny apartment above a grocery store. He worked 2 jobs, cleaned offices at night, and drove deliveries before dawn. His world revolved around school lunches, late-night fevers, birthday cakes made from scratch because store-bought was too expensive, and the quiet pride he felt each time Alina wrapped her small arms around his neck and told him she loved him. Even in exhaustion, he found purpose. But nothing prepared him for the hospital that night, for the icy air filled with panic, for the desperate plea that matched his blood type to the child on the brink of death. As he lay on the medical cot, feeling the warmth drain from his arm into a plastic bag that would soon flow into the tiny body of a stranger, Daniel focused only on one thought, that somewhere, a father might be praying for a miracle the same way he prayed when Alina suffered a severe asthma attack 2 years ago. He remembered how helplessness felt, how the world seemed to crumble in slow motion while machines beeped around her. No parent deserved that terror. So Daniel gave, quietly, anonymously, until the nurse whispered that they had enough. He rested, dizzy but relieved, believing his part in this story was over. But destiny was patient. Hours later, as he stepped out of the donation room, he noticed a commotion near the ICU doors. A woman with perfectly straight black hair, trembling shoulders, and a face pale from fear was speaking urgently with doctors. She wore an elegant winter coat, too expensive, too polished, too familiar. Her voice, though strained, carried the same sharpness he remembered from years ago. Daniel froze. The fluorescent lights flickered above him, and the world seemed to fall silent. It couldn't be. But when she turned, their eyes met, and her breath caught at the same time as his heart. It was Arisha Wasim, the woman who once promised him a future and then walked away when her wealthy family demanded she choose status over love. He had begged her not to leave. She had cried but still let go, returning his ring and breaking the only dream he had ever dared build with someone. Since that night, Daniel had never trusted love again. Now she stood only a few feet away, shattered and desperate, her tears streaking her flawless makeup, her body trembling as though she was made of fragile glass. And beside her, through the transparent ICU window, lay a tiny girl, motionless and connected to tubes. Arisha's little girl. The child Daniel had just helped save. He had imagined this moment many times, seeing her again, confronting the choices that destroyed him, but never like this. Never with a dying child between them. For a long moment, neither moved. The years they lost hovered in the air, but the weight of her suffering eclipsed every old wound inside him. Daniel learned through a nurse that the little girl, Amara, had a rare immune condition and had collapsed suddenly at home. The doctors needed immediate blood transfusion to stabilize her. The CEO of Wasim Industries, Ari Shah, had arrived moments later, broken, helpless, terrified of losing her only child. Daniel felt his chest tighten. So she had built an empire, carried her success like armor, but behind the titles and power she was still human, still vulnerable, still capable of losing everything. Over the next hours, Daniel sat silently in the waiting area, watching Ari Shah crumble in ways he had never seen before. She paced until her legs shook, whispered prayers, buried her face in her hands, and pressed her trembling forehead against the ICU window as if begging fate not to take her daughter. No wealth, no influence, no reputation could help her now. She was just a mother drowning in fear. And Daniel, despite everything, could not turn away. He approached her slowly, unsure whether she would even want to see him. But when she lifted her head and recognized him again, something inside her broke completely. She looked at him with disbelief, regret, relief, and a storm of emotions he could not decipher. She didn't know yet that he was the donor. But fate had already woven their lives together again before either of them could prepare for it. Hours passed until the doctor finally emerged, looking exhausted but hopeful. They said Amara had stabilized. Her small body had accepted the transfusion, and she was responding. Arisha collapsed into the nearest chair, covering her face as sobs of relief escaped her. Daniel felt tears sting his eyes too, remembering the fear of almost losing his own child. It didn't matter anymore what history they shared, no parent deserved such agony. When Arisha learned from the hospital staff that the anonymous donor was still somewhere in the building, she insisted on thanking him. She didn't yet know that the man she once left was the same man who gave blood to keep her daughter alive. Destiny had created a strange, aching symmetry. Before Daniel could slip away, a nurse called out his name to confirm paperwork. Arisha froze. Her lips parted in shock. The entire truth struck her like thunder. He was the one who saved her daughter. The hallway fell silent. Arisha pressed a trembling hand against her chest, tears spilling again, not from fear now, but from overwhelming, humbling disbelief. Daniel looked at the floor, uncomfortable, unsure what the moment demanded from him. But Arisha stepped toward him slowly, as though approaching someone sacred. She wanted to speak but no words came out. Her guilt, her gratitude, her buried feelings, all of it trembled visibly in her eyes. For the first time, Daniel saw not the woman who abandoned him but a mother who understood loss, love, and the cost of her past decisions. In the days that followed, the hospital became their quiet meeting place. Daniel visited as part of routine checkups, and Arisha, though still emotionally raw, found herself drawn to him in ways she had never expected. They talked in small fragments, about disease, parenting, work, regrets, and the loneliness hidden behind successful lives. Arisha confessed that her marriage had crumbled years ago, leaving her to raise Amara alone. She felt trapped between expectations she never truly chose and the responsibilities she now carried. Her eyes softened when she spoke of her daughter, and Daniel could see she had sacrificed much more than he imagined. For the first time in years, he saw not the woman he lost but the woman she had become.